You know, traveling the Mojave really does make you wish for nuclear winter. Hello everyone, Genki here. Today, I am taking on Fallout New Vegas for the first time, but I can only use NCR Armor and Weapons. The first one is simple. I can only use armor that labels me as disguised as a member of the NCR. As for the latter, I'm restricting myself to only the weapons on screen now. I will be doing the NCR ending, and while I wanted to do more in terms of NCR side quests, I didn't really do much as the constant crashing kind of soured my mood a little bit. I did have some mods installed to help the game run smoother, and I will show those on screen now. With all that out of the way, let's begin. We started our journey in the home of Doc Mitchell, who apparently took 2 bullets out of our skull. As this was a challenge run, I immediately stored all the DLC items, including everyone's favorite, the Volt 13 canteen, before choosing our stats. I went with only 2 strength, because that was the requirement for the service rifle. I then put most of our points into perception and agility, for VATS accuracy and a boost to our gun skill. I lowered charisma down to just 1, but that only left me with enough points for 5 endurance, 7 intelligence, and 7 luck. For our tag skills, I went with guns, medicine, and repair. For traits, I went with skilled for more skill points, and trigger discipline for more gun accuracy. Once outside, we first made a beeline to the saloon to talk to Sunny Smiles, who gave us a free varmint rifle. We then helped her take out some annoying insurance salesmen before deciding to leave town. Our destination was the NCR tents on the edge of Prim, where we could find ourselves a couple sets of NCR armor. I went with the Trooper armor, as the Bandolier armor was just the Trooper armor with a strap of pouches that didn't even increase our carry capacity. We then made our way back to Good Springs to take on the Ghost Town gunfight quest. I started by blasting off Joe Cobb's face in the middle of the saloon, before talking to Ringo and Sonny. With our current skills, we were only able to gain the assistance of Doc and Easy Pete. I didn't really use the dynamite though. With no Joe Cobb in the ranks, the power gangers went down easily. However, sadly, the victory cost us the life of Cheyenne. Our morning then got us a level up. I put all the points in the guns, and then took the Swift Learner perk to offset the downsides of the skilled trait. With the town saved, it was time to leave, but I first made a trip to Chet, where I found a scope for the varmint rifle. Back in Prim, we began to make use of our new scope, taking out the couple of convicts in the streets, before entering the casino and meeting the man with more wrinkles than a bulldog, Johnson Nash. He told us to help find the man that shot us, we would need to rescue Deputy Beagle from the convicts. We ran into issues with the convict leader, as for some reason he had a flamer. Thankfully he was stupid, and took out some of his own men. He then switched to his pistol, giving us the chance to take him out. Sheesh, this challenge was really starting to heat up. We then freed the deputy from his bindings, before making our way upstairs to deal with the rest of the convicts. Once back at the casino, Deputy Beagle then told us the man we were looking for had said they were heading towards Novak, and also, to bring law back to Prim, we needed to find a new sheriff. To answer this, I went to the NCR. However, Lieutenant Hayes just didn't have the manpower to secure Prim for the NCR. That man trimmed to the Mojave outpost. Along the way, we took out a Jackal gang leader and angered some rad scorpions. The scorpions had quite a lot of health, which forced us to switch to our backup 9mm. At the outpost, we met Spider-Man's most recent victim, before heading inside and talking to Major Knight. The Major could not spare any more men, as they were required to keep a minimum head count. We then talked to Ranger Jackson, who needed us to help him with an ant problem. This rewarded us with our go-to weapon for the run, the service rifle. We then talked to Ranger Ghost, who needed us to go see what was happening in Nipton. We ran into some issues with a huge band of Jackal gang members, but we got through it, with the cost of using most of our healing supplies. Approaching Nipton, I of course kept up with the tradition of giving Oliver Swanek his lottery winnings. This got us to level 4. I went with the Educator perk, giving us 2 more skill points every time we leveled up. Entering Nipton, Lopez and his men immediately went hostile thanks to our uniform. The Legionnaires couldn't do anything to us with their machetes. However, Lopez with his Ripper was quite a threat. Thankfully, he spent most of his time in the back, and only started pushing his assault when most of his men were dead. Turning in the quest allowed us to finally get Major Knight to send some troops over to Prim. We then made our way back to Nipton, and on to Novak. There we talked to Boone. By helping him get revenge for his wife, we could employ him as our companion. Geez, Jeannie Mae, no need to lose your head. I then forgot to ask around for info on the man who shot us, and traveled towards Boulder City. The NCR currently were in conflict with the Great Khans. We volunteered to help with the situation, leading us to meeting Jessup, one of the Great Khans that was accompanying the man who shot us. The man was named Benny, and he was apparently a big shot in New Vegas. With this info now in hand, us and Boone proceeded to take out Jessup and the rest of the Great Khans. As we were playing the part of an NCR officer, I decided to make a trip to Camp McCarran, where our outfit allowed us to take the monorail into New Vegas. I am bad with money in these games, so I was glad to be able to skip the 2,000 cap credit check. Victor, jump scare.
Howdy, partner!
Victor told us to go meet with Mr. House, the man who controlled New Vegas. We sadly had to say goodbye to Boone, because I did not realize I could have just left him waiting on the bottom floor. Mr. House was the owner of the platinum chip we were carrying when we were attacked by Benny, and he wants it back. However, I decided I was not going to do that, as leaving the Lucky 38 caused us to run into an NCR soldier asking us to meet with Ambassador Crocker. I then made my way to the embassy, and did not enter the Tops Casino even once this whole playthrough. Ambassador Crocker wants the NCR to have a more solid hold in Vegas, and the first step was talking to the boomers at Nellis Air Force Base. Crocker suspects the boomers at Nellis are in possession of fairy godparents, and as we approached the base, it seemed true. The amount of ammunition being fired, and the speed it was being launched at, could only be the work of fairy godparents! Oh, wait. They just have a lot of big guns. Entering the base, we were met by Pearl, who drops one of the most ironic lines this whole game.
I've been waiting a good 5 years for an outsider to come along and visit.
Then why were you bombing every outsider that approached the base? Pearl wanted us to help her on the base to get the trust of the others. So I helped Argyle, since our medicine skill was not in the 60s. I listened to Pete, and then talked to Loy about fixing the solar panels. This required us taking a trip to Helios 1 outside of Boulder City. There, we met a man not so fantastic, who told us that he needed help getting Helios 1 back up and running. By activating 2 terminals outside, and the generator towards the top of the tower, we could then send the power to Camp McCarran and the Vegas Strip. This quest then got us to level 8, where we took the Grunt perk, giving all of our weapons a 25% boost in damage. We then took some broken solar panels we found at Helios 1, and used them to repair the ones at Nellis. We were now liked by the boomers, leading to another meeting with Pearl, who then told us to find Loyal. We were just talking to him! Loyal then told us of the Lady in the Lake, a bomber that was hidden underneath Lake Mead. The trip to Lake Mead proceeded to be the hardest part of this entire challenge, minus the final boss, as the path required us to run across Deathclaws. By hugging the wall on the left, we were thankfully only attacked by young Deathclaws. However, they were still really tough. We then got attacked by Cazadors. I think it might be time for an upgrade. Back in Novak, we had talked to Ranger Andy, who wanted us to go check up on the soldiers at Ranger Station Charlie. Entering the station, we found everyone dead, including an NCR Ranger with a set of patrol armor. The set was in bad condition, only giving us 2 more DT than our trooper armor, but it will be a substantial upgrade once we can pay Major Knight to fix it. We then found a holotape, showing that the attack on the station was done by the Legion. Sharing this information with Ranger Andy rewarded us with a new barehanded combat move, the Ranger Takedown. We never used it. I decided to pair our new armor with the recon beret we got from Boone. The trooper hat did not look good with the armor, and the Ranger hat provided nothing. No DT or stat boost. The recon beret boosted our perception and crit chance. Next was a weapon upgrade. By talking to Raquel, we will get a quest to deal with an ant problem below where the solar panels are. Inside that area are a few dead boomers, one of them carrying an assault carbine. That does less damage than our service rifle, but in exchange it's fully automatic. Oh well, at least this gives us a better backup weapon than our 9mm. On our next trip to Lake Mead, we managed to avoid the Cazadors and safely get to the lake, where we without issue, except for one death to suffocation, rose up the bomber. I thought Lake Mead was supposed to be covered in Lake Lurks, or is that in another part? This got us the trust of the boomers, and their assistance in the upcoming war with the Legion. Next up for Ambassador Crockpot was checking out what was cooking in Freeside. Freeside for the most part was ran by the Kings. We needed to get on the good side of their leader, who was aptly named the King. First for him was checking on a bodyguard named Oris. By using our high medicine skill, we could find out that Oris was faking shootouts in order to make himself look good. Next up was checking up on some citizens who were attacked. They were currently being treated at the Old Mormon Fort. It seemed the attackers were potentially citizens of the NCR. One of the majors for the NCR was only providing food for NCR citizens. When asked why not the other citizens, she explained that a messenger they sent to the kings was attacked. The king himself had no idea about this, and it seemed Pacer was the culprit behind the attack. And speaking of Pacer, he apparently decided to attack the NCR soldiers. By telling the NCR major the king was not behind the attack, and was willing to talk, we could stop the attack, earning us a favor with the king, which we immediately used to stop the conflict between the NCR and Freeside. We also got a level up, taking intense training to boost our strength to 3 for the assault carbine. By the way, I have been using the gun runners for most, if not all, of our ammo restocking. I just did not mention it earlier because it would have ruined the joke. Returning to Ambassador Betty Crocker, he now needed us to check in with Commander Moore at Hoover Dam. The commander needed us to crack open a few eggs, as she feared the Great Khans were going to be cooperating with the Legion in the upcoming battle. Along the way to the Khans, we came across Cook, who upon defeat dropped his head. When it comes to the Khans, one of their high-ranking members is in Deathclaw territory. Because of this, I decided to once again pick up Boone and have the 2 of us slaughter all the Khans at Red Rock Canyon. This got us to level 12, where I took the Finesse perk for more crit chance. Next up was seeing what was up with the Emerdos at Gomorrah. I first turned in Cook's head to Major Daughtry. Later on in the playthrough, I did also take out Driver Nafai, but I forgot to turn in his head. Back at the strip, we gave the Gomorrah frontman all of our weapons, and then talked to the receptionist at the front desk, summoning Kachino. By pickpocketing Kachino's journal off of him, we could then have him help us take down the Emerdo bosses. We then talked to Troika and Clandid. We got nowhere with Troika, but we were able to blackmail Clandid into leaving Gomorrah, leading to a confrontation with the bosses, Big Sal and Nero. However, as we had no guns, we had to use a sawed-off shotgun given to us by Kachino. This is not an improved weapon, but this does not fail the challenge, as I could have just given the Emerdos the Nervous Special. Next up for Commander Moore was more business in the strip, as we must now deal with Mr. House. This required a trip to Kent Gulf, where we could find ourselves a Lucky 38 keycard. Using the keycard, we could enter House's antechamber and the elevator down to the control room. I wanted to just disconnect his control from the Securitrons, but we did not have enough points in science, so I just had to kill him. Last up for the factions was the Brotherhood of Steel. As we are stuck wearing NCR armor, I was afraid the Brotherhood would open fire as soon as we entered the bunker, so I first made a trip to the 188 training post to pick up Veronica. As we entered the Hidden Valley bunker, I feared I had to do some of Veronica's companion quest to get her to work. Thankfully, that was not the case. We were allowed safe entry into the bunker, where we talked to Elder McNamara, whose voice was a lot younger sounding than I anticipated. As I did not have the firepower to deal with the Brotherhood, I decided to get them to join the NCR. First was traveling to Mojave, finding the dead Brotherhood patrols, and picking up their holotapes. This led to one of the funniest skill checks this run. Next up was going around and getting reports from some scouts, who were thankfully very much alive. Turning in the reports then got us the big mission for the Elder, which was fixing the bunker's AC unit. They couldn't exactly call Goodman AC in repair to come service their secret underground base. This required us going into multiple vaults. First up was Vault 11, which was overrun by bugs and rodents. We found the part in an area underwater. Next up was Vault 3, which had been taken over by fiends, and they got quite the potty mouth. Sheesh. The ones at the entrance got us to level 14, where I took the second rank of toughness. Oh, yeah, that's right. I took the first rank of toughness at level 6. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. I ended up getting lost, but eventually we found Daniel, who dropped the maintenance key. This got us into a battle with the leader of the fiends, Motor Runner. I first took out his dogs before entering the room. This made him no match for us and Veronica. I took his helmet but forgot to look where to turn it in. We also took the item for the Brotherhood from Motor Runner's boss room. Last was Vault 22, which was filled with sentient plants and discount swamp things. This vault was more confusing than the last, but we managed to find a key in one of the bedrooms that let us pick up the final part for the Brotherhood. With the AC back up and running, the Brotherhood could finally feel relief from the hot Nevada air. They were so relieved, in fact, They agreed to back up the NCR at the battle for Hoover Dam. And speaking of Hoover Dam, it seemed the president was coming to give a speech, and we needed to make sure nothing goes wrong. Well, as we were somehow no longer accepted by the NCR, a lot actually went wrong, trying to figure out how this quest worked. I eventually talked to one of the engineers, and she told us her friend was missing. We then found blood in the supply closet, meaning one of the engineers was not who they said they were. By waiting by the door to the visitor center, an engineer exits as President Kimball begins his speech. We can then pickpocket the detonator to a bomb off him, and give that to Ranger Grant, leading to the death of the apparent Legion spy. With the president saved, it was time for the battle for Hoover Dam, which means one last supply run. We also picked Boone back up, which caused us to experience one of the most horrifying things this run, the inside of Boone's head. We at least got a level up, taking the better criticals perk. The battle for the dam started with us inside, trying to fight our way out, as we were getting swarmed by Legion soldiers. This was where I discovered something I was not pleased with. We ran out of ammo for the service rifle, and I didn't want to switch to the assault carbine right at the beginning of the battle. Thankfully, the dead NCR soldiers and Legionnaires were dropping hunting rifles, which were on the approved list. The hunting rifle was stronger than our service rifle. However, it came with a reload after every shot. With the help of Boone and later the NCR Rangers, we were able to reach Leggett Lansing's camp. The Leggett was a spec in difficulty I was not expecting. I knew he was hard, but damn, his polearm two-shots us. I was getting the best results with the hunting rifle, but then we got the Leggett to a second phase, where he runs into the camp and summons a group of Legion veterans. Yeah, we were in no shape to handle this. It was time for some chems. Buff out for more HP, Jet for more AP, Sacco for more damage, and while not a chem, Nuka-Cola Quartz for more DT. I started the fight by using VATS on the Leggett's head, before he could finish off our NCR backup. One of the shots got a crit, stunning the Leggett. We could then rush the Leggett, getting another crit, taking him to under half, allowing us to then get the win with another headshot. Since the Leggett could not activate his backup, all that was left was his two Praetorian guards. With them gone, we could make our way to the gate, get greeted by General Oliver, winning the game, in my first ever playthrough of Fallout New Vegas. I should probably consider installing the anti-crash mod for New Vegas. I see myself having a lot of fun with this game, but whether I'll make videos out of it will depend on the success, or lack thereof, for this video. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. See ya.